guys. Ready? There you go.
Okay, got it. Okay. Hey there, Jay. Hey, Big Jay, what's happening, man? This is OCD Mikey here. And I'm calling up, man. I'm calling up to get a hold, to bust your chops there, big dog.
I see that. I see that.
You got quite the little assortment of gear, don't you, there, buddy?
That's that. To put it lightly, yeah. People definitely say that about me. I mean, I definitely like to play around with a lot of different components. Absolutely.
Oh, cool, man. Cool. So what I'm wondering here is, does all it take is to spend a lot of money to have good sound or not? So what I'm wondering is, some of your gear you got, you buy top of the line stuff pretty much from what I can see. So I'm wondering, is that all it takes? Does it just take buying top of the line and then we're going to get killer sound? Or, I'm wondering.
Well, in case a lot of your followers who are watching this don't know, I have a YouTube channel doing some of the ultra high-end audio reviews. Look me up, Jay's Audio Lab. You'll find my channel there. And to answer your question, I would say it can be a mixed bag with regards to prices. Some of the stuff that you see out there that is very astronomical, in my opinion, it can be snake oil. And a lot of brands lately, I think, are starting to realize that consumers are becoming a lot more educated. You can look up pictures of components, of the internals of different components, to see what you're being sold, right? You can do, and it doesn't take an engineer, right, an electronics engineer, to understand when you have an empty box or you have a box that seems like it's got a lot behind it, right? It's very common. Right. It's very easy now to look up whatever it is that you're interested in searching for. So for me, it's been, for the most part, I would say the majority of my components have been pretty good, pretty solid. It just becomes a matter of taste. I can have a system that sounds incredible to some and not so much to others, depending on their preferences, right? So for instance, I have a tube rig right now with VAC statement monos, the VAC master preamplifier, that's my tube. But with the same speakers, Wilson Audio XLF. And then I also have a solid state, with the solid state preamplifier and amplifiers. So I can go back and forth, but it's been quite interesting. I don't know if you saw my latest video about the Tyco music server that I recently released, right? Which is one of your videos that I looked up a while back. You were pretty open about your sentiments with this machine. By the way, you're not the first person who basically says the same, that it can be had, it can be built for less money, and that's something that people are always expressing. But I don't know. I mean, Mike, to me, it boils down to this: if that is a possibility, why hasn't anyone done it? Why hasn't someone? Because you know me, man, I have my system in here, and if you bring something that can completely dethrone any of my components and it's going to put money in the bank, I have no reason to keep the more expensive item. I'll be honest with you. I have no reason. Yeah. But so far, that hasn't been the case from a lot of the stuff I've tried.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough to look at something like a computer and imagine it's worth $32,000. I mean, we're talking software. What differentiates the men from the boys, really, in the server land. And some do have, unique special motherboards and that kind of thing. But as far as I know, Tyco uses a gaming motherboard that's available. And it's got Optane memory and other things like that. And it's hell of a power supply, that's for sure. And I have heard that it's great. I don't dispute its sound quality. I think its sound quality is probably among the best, if not the best. That's what I hear from my sources out in the field. But I'm just questioning the price, So I guess if it is top of class, you can kind of charge whatever you want. So it's kind of, hard to put a number on top of class. Yep. If you're the best, you're the best. So that's all there is to it. So you do get a little room there, wiggle room. But then so many others are, 15 grand, say half the price, and you look at them and it's off the shelf mini ITX boards and output cards and memory and a drive, and that's it. Right. And so I think, you know, I felt like a lot of the times, well, I felt with the advent of the computers coming into hi-fi, we got a lot of interlopers, I call them, which are like, you know, computer guys. They're not hi-fi guys. They're computer guys that came into our industry knowing they could rape and pillage because we have no governing bodies. We have no, you can say whatever you want in our industry and people accept it. It's okay. You can get away with it. And it's just buyer beware, really. And so I sort of try and show that because I mean, I've made some of these things. I've made pieces, they were all analog pieces, but still, I know how to make it, you know, audiophile, you know, and I know the tricks of the trade. So I'm generally a skeptic, you know,
Okay.
and so, you know, if it boils down to it, you know, someday I'll come, man, and bring my rig. I'll bring my server, the best that I've heard, because no one's going to bring it up here to me. No one's going to send me a $32,000, you know, server. I'm not going to buy it. So I'll come down there maybe sometime, bring my thing along, put it in your rig. Let's listen. I'll bring my DAC too, because you have an $80,000 DAC, no?
I have the MSB reference, correct, fully loaded with like double power bases, just every single option that you can get for it.
Cool.
And I would love that. If you want to bring your artillery in my field, absolutely bring it in here. We'll put all these crazy power cords and, you know, all the rest of the cabling, and we can just do it. We can do an A and B with, I can literally record and put the videos out there. So that people can hear how, because, you know, your system, I mean, I don't know exactly the MSRP of your speakers, the ones that the panels you're mainly using.
30.
30. So the great exercise I think could be is how can your components, how do they do with crazy electronics and a crazy speaker like what I have? Like that would be some things that I think a lot of people would be interested in seeing, because, you know, maybe I even learn to understand the law of diminishing returns even better, right? Because if you put that $22,000 DAC in here that you love against my MSB reference, and I start to realize that, okay, you're onto something here, it's going to put a lot of doubt in my mind now when you leave. You may leave me completely baffled and now scratching my head about the price performance proposition that you have all the time on your channel, right? I don't really do price performance propositions on my channel. I typically go on an all-out assault when it comes to buying equipment and bring it and give it to the masses and myself, of course, right? If, you know, some people criticize me, to be honest with you, about having equipment that many probably will never be able to afford, and this is coming from them, not me. But the reality is, to be sincere with you, I just don't want to do the same that other channels are doing. I don't want to do the same brands. I don't want to do, and I don't want to mention any brands or channels. People I think know what I'm talking about. I know you would, but I don't want to ruffle any feathers. You know, I want to just be pretty polite. And for me, it's more like, I don't want to do what's been done for a long time, right? And so I'm trying to think of me as, we all go to our local supermarket, pass by the magazine section to pick up a Car and Driver magazine with a $2 million car on the front cover. Or YouTube, you'll see car, car and track or whatever, and you get to hear a 15-minute clip and see a 15-minute video of a $2 million supercar that you're like, you'll never be able to afford it, but it's kind of cool to see what that does and how fast, and if it tops out at 250 miles, all of that. So I am more like that. Like, I'm trying to bring things that a lot of people will probably never even see in person, right? That's the reality. And so I think people tune in to see the extreme on my channel. Although, to be fair, I have had Magnet Pans in here too. I've had Martin Logans in here as well, because I believe in switching things up a bit. And I'm pretty close to starting a new system here, by the way, which I'll disclose it here on your channel. That 2022 will bring a lot of changes again, that I think people are going to be excited about. So I like to swim in deep waters and then come back to shore from time to time, and then swim back out again and come back, right? But at the end of the day, I think Unfortunately, the perception is, and I say unfortunately because this is the reality, usually the price plays a mental game with all of us, and we usually have we have a correlation of price is equals to quality, right? If you buy something, a Rolex, it's 10 grand, 20 grand, whatever, the perception is it's got to be good because it's Rolex and it's 20, 30, $40,000 or whatever it is, right? So I think there is a psychological game with the dollar amounts thrown out there, no question about it. I'm guilty of that. I'm accepting it. And when something's too cheap, it can't be that good, right? I think we all have that perception. That's $5 for this. This can't be good, and we never give it a fair shot.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So to me, for me, it's like I've got nothing wrong with things being expensive if they are worth it. So I'm like this at every aspect of my life. I'll go spend $60 on a steak, for instance, if it's freaking worth it, and then I'll be happy because it's worth it. But if I get some choice piece of meat that's not prime for $60, they're trying to pass it off as prime, I'm going to be pissed. And then I'm going to expose that restaurant. I'm going to go on Yelp and I'm going to say its name and I'm going to say the people, if there's, or whatever, because you know what, there's got to be accountability. And if I'm the jackass that calls people out, then that's the way, what I am, because it's like I come from, I'm not a hedge fund guy, right? Or something where where 100 grand means absolutely nothing to me, right? I have to work hard. And so things, and I don't even know, man, even for somebody who is a hedge fund guy, let's say, I don't even know if they still value, if they look for value anyways, or if they just don't give a shit, I really don't know. So for me, there's got to be a value in there somewhere. If it's a $50,000 thing, it has to kick the shit out of the $100,000 thing for me to value, there has to be some sort of intrinsic value with that piece rather than just a pie in the sky number. Some of these numbers for these amplifiers, $150,000 has no relation to the product. That's a number taken out of the sky. And it's just, and to me, that's like, it's taking advantage of people. Maybe they don't care, and maybe there needs to be that seller or that manufacturer that says, if I don't do it, someone's going to do it. But to me, the intentions that bring that aren't my same intention. I have a different intent than to see what I can get away with, and that's kind of almost how I see those pie in the sky type.
So then I can have an argument to that. Then we can begin to argue a little bit about this, have an argument, a discussion about this. So how do you feel about perhaps that brand that is $150,000, whatever, for a random product, and it kicks ass, no question about it, right? It's great, all of that, but at the same time, they have to pay for the research and development that they have done. They have to pay for all the labor. They have to pay for the employees. They have to pay for everything that it takes to get that product to your door, right? What's fair to charge and what's not fair to charge, right? Because one argument that I can have, and I'll have this argument wide open, this is against anybody that is always thinking about doing the DIY thing. You can build any product according to you that will be 1/10 of the price of the product you're trying to replicate, right? But when you fail, I'm saying general, anyone can do that. What I'm saying is, okay, you can build one, but that doesn't mean you can mass produce that and add factoring the labor, factoring
I get you. I get you. I hear where you're coming from.
That people don't see, but a lot of people don't fail to see that. I'll buy that statement of saying I can build that for that. Yeah, you can build one, but you can't mass produce it and put it at people's door. It takes more effort.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's very true, and it's very important to be able to mass produce something. Anybody can build one of something. Right. You can build the wickedest motorcycle chopper thing in the world, but are you ever going to reproduce it? No, hell no. There's only one that's ever going to exist.
Go in production. There's a lot more that goes.
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, I value something that can only be one of more than something that can be mass produced.
I can understand
so I think they're worth more in that regard. But but also and here's how I value that. Yes, absolutely, people should get paid for their ingenuity, their design, all that kind of stuff. But we look at the other things in the marketplace to see what it would bear, because we're way beyond normal doubling of price. Okay, we're talking about 10 times the price, something like that. That's what the market will bear. But what I do is I look inside. See, I understand circuits to some degree. I know how to look into an amp, look at a circuit board and tell if that's old technology or if it's new technology. I can tell by looking that's expensive to make, or that shit's mass produced in China, or can be, okay? So certain amps, I look inside, it looks like old ass. I won't use a name since where I'm talking with you and you don't like to use names.
I agreed.
But it starts with the C.
Mind you, the reason why I have gone away, before you continue, from using names, and I want to, again, this is a disclosure here, this for everyone, I want to disclose this, because I was taking that approach in the early stages of my channel of literally being extremely ruthless at times, or raw, if you will, not ruthless, raw, I would call it. A lot of people got their, I don't want to say their panties in a bunch, but there's no word that I can use to say the same thing to the same effect. And I have since then began to soften a little bit of my commentary with regards to products or calling specific brands out, because
that's nice of you. That's nice of you to care.
Right, you're right. But
that
does not necessarily negate or stops me from me ultimately giving my opinion about a product, being mid-fi, low-fi, hi-fi, right? Or upper tier, lower tier, mid-tier. That can still come out, because at the end of the day, that is one man's opinion and that's mine. Right? Yes. And mind you, and I don't know if your viewers might know this, I don't get any free of anything here. Like everything that I have here is mine. Like if you go to my YouTube channel again,
so you don't get loans. Like VAC is right down there with you in Florida.
No, there's nothing like that. I bought that piece.
Suncoast doesn't bring you stuff.
No, Suncoast has loaned me one time a Sim Audio 860 version 2 amplifier. But you know, anybody else like dealers or brand names even, that I can honestly say they hear this. I think there was Audio Mica. I believe Audio Mica did, the cable company. It is a great brand, and I think it's Polish. They did send me some cables. I am test driving a Synergistic Research power cell right now at this time, but minor things. I can't say that a manufacturer, as of today, November 24th, may change next week or in a month or 2 months, but as of right now, I haven't had a brand tell me we are releasing something new and we would love for you to give us your opinion, even if it's behind closed doors, even if it's just a private audition where they want my opinion. I haven't had that yet, but I expect that to change over the next few months or maybe years. That, believe me, your channel, just like mine, it's organic. It's going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And then you can't hide the sun with one finger. After that, you can't block the sun with one finger.
So for me, I feel that I owe it to my customers to tell them those names. So if I see someone that's a hustler, I mention the name. You know, so what I see happening, for instance, in the industry is plain things being cloaked in complex boxes to show to fool the client or the buyer into feeling that they're getting something extraordinary, when really it's just an old school regular heat sink that's hidden behind a perforated side panel that makes it look like it's magnificent because it's nice metalwork, but you're hiding a cheap amp underneath beautiful metalwork. And I can see it's a cheap amp. I can see there's nothing to it. So to sell them for 15 grand, it's like ludicrous. Now I take a Jeff Rowland and I open up, that's another thing that has a beautiful case on it, but we open up a Jeff Rowland to expose its goods and see under its skirt, so to speak. And it's nothing but NASA in there. I mean, you can tell immediately it doesn't look like anything from 1986. Whereas the other, you know, a lot of other amps that claim to be all terrific, and and they may sound great. It doesn't mean they sound poorly.
Yeah, that's a
It
different,
just means
agreed.
that's a $3,000 amp that they're selling for 15 grand, you know, and you can see by looking. You look at Jeff's stuff, there's no way you're reproducing it. There's no way you're copying it. There's no way you're even close, because his stuff is so unique and different. And
I agree that he has, the time that I had Jeff rolling here, I would have to agree. I mean, I had the 925s in here, and the look was like nothing else. I mean, there's absolutely nothing that the beauty of the external component, the chassis, everything.
I'm talking about
it.
inside. Yeah, I'm talking about inside.
Oh, right. Of course, the inside. I never saw the inside. So I've seen pictures. Yeah.
Yep. And one thing too, the 925, although it's a magnificent piece, I mean, they're stellar. That's not Jeff. That's used as a module, a Class D module. So that's not Jeff through and through. Jeff's stuff is AB. So he's not a digital engineer. You either have one skill set or the other.
Speaking about that, I actually did mention on one of my videos, I did actually direct a comment to him saying that he needs to continue to push that Class AB design. The 625 S2 is a perfect example of what I think he needs to keep doing. Again, my opinion, it may mean nothing to him, and that's fine, but the Class D conversation, I think, in my opinion, right now, if I am going to choose one brand that I think, my experience, again, with what I have owned in here, don't take in consideration anything else outside of what I know, I would say right now, the leader for me in Class D is Merrill Audio right now, for me. Merrill Audio, the Element 118s were mind blowing here. Incredible amplifiers, okay? Now, that said, when I compare the 925s to the Merrill Audio, and people were here in my room listening to both, everyone chose the Merrill Audio 118, okay? Now, again.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, is the Merrill GAN?
I believe it is. I can't really, maybe we need to look that up and to make sure what it is.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the Merrill's GAN, so it's newer technology. Jeff has not done a GAN amp yet. Wait till Jeff does a GAN amp.
And I think, you know, that even Macintosh, I believe, was releasing a Class D amplifier. I can't remember. I think maybe they did already, but I don't really keep up. But my point is that I think other brands are beginning to explore possibilities like electric vehicles, right? A lot of which Dodge already announced.
They can't ignore it. They can't ignore it.
Well, they can't ignore it. I agree. I mean, Dodge already announced they're going to stop building the Hellcat engines in 2023.
Yeah.
They're going to start going electric. Yeah. I mean, you got that new what do you call that new the new electric car Plaid, for Tesla Plaid, that's 9 seconds in the quarter of a mile, 1,000 horsepower, electric. I mean, you could be in a suit and tie, not with the kids in the back, and smoke the guy in the McLaren that's, you know, that's sweating his ass off.
$2 million bucks, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just technology has gotten better, and I think amplifiers, although I will say this, I still have the biggest sweet spot for Class A amplifiers. I don't think right now we're there yet to dethrone what Class A amplifiers can do. I think Class A for me has always been the wow factor in many ways, but I have heard great Class AB as well. I think Roland is great as an example for Class AB.
I think what it boils down to a lot is that when I think of the latest Class D, AGD is my brand that I champion for the Class D, and it's just so accurate that people don't even know how to listen to it. You know, you'll put it in, it reveals everything that's wrong with the rig, and then they'll blame the amp, and you're like, your rig is fucked, dude.
I'm going to stop you right there, because that's exactly what I'm going through with an amplifier that will go nameless at this time in my room, okay? It's super neutral, super revealing, nothing but the facts. And when you get a little bit of brightness, your instinct, you know, is typically the amp is too bright. The last amp wasn't, but then you come to realize that, is it the amp or is it the rest of your rig that was already bright and you had a warm amplifier before?
Yeah, totally. Right? Exactly.
So really, and then you have other issues like, for instance, your power is not enough, or you have other problems upstream, that noise, you got to use more grounding devices, you got to use a different power cord. So to me, neutral amplifiers aren't made for everyone. I think you can appreciate neutrality. I think you can 100% appreciate neutrality, but only because you've already been through the euphonic amplifiers, you've already been through the tube-like sound, you've already been through all sorts of flavors. So when you land at neutral, you begin to have a different appreciation for amplification that I think is only tapped into once you have experienced other types of sound. I think that a normal audiophile that doesn't have a lot of experience, right, that doesn't know audio per se, doesn't really, in my opinion, 100% appreciate a 100% neutral component. Because if it sounds like crap, they're going to be like, this sounds like crap, but they don't realize it could be the recording that you've been listening to.
Or the back or whatever.
That the Bose system you had made sound good because it's tuned to sound good with everything, right? So so there's always a lot of that I think gets lost in all these conversations. I mean, I wish you had been at this Capital Audio Fest 2021. I mean, it was a great show. I really, really enjoyed the show. To be honest with you, I thought there was a lot of great stuff. 55 rooms, a lot of people, great turnout. I expect the Florida Audio Expo to be no different and probably even bigger of an event. And I think it's the weekend after Super Bowl weekend. I think that weekend that follows is the show, and I urge everyone to come out to the Florida Audio Expo, because not only can you be dropped off if you're married at the show, and then let your partner, your significant other, go to the parks, go to Disney an hour away with the kids all day while you're there checking out systems. So I think it works for the whole family, you know, to do that. But I saw a lot of great stuff. One of them being those amplifiers that you mentioned. The AGN, I think it is. I actually thought that was a great system with those bookshelf speakers that they had. I can't remember the brand name of those bookshelf speakers that they used, but it sounded pretty impressive, man. I can tell you, I was very impressed with the sound. It was very musical, very engaging. It was very, very relaxed. Never got in your face. I can just sit there from 7 p.m. until 7 a.m. No problem, and just never want to turn it off.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that'll be, I'm looking forward to the Florida show. You know, I know in Florida, they're not going to require masks and in your Nazi papers, you know, so, you know.
Yeah, I can hear you, man. I understand that. I understand that you want
establishment on many levels.
No, I know.
You know?
So tell me now. So tell me now, like, when are you going to put a actual awesome, and I don't want to discredit your current woofer tweeter speaker or box speaker, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, you know, you'll have to, I'll come down there, because I have to, sometime I'll come down there, sometime you come up here, because hearing is believing. I want to see if your shit's legit. I'll come listen and I'll know if it's legit, according to me, right?
By the way, I'm recording you if you come over. I'm recording you in here. I'm gonna play the system. You're gonna grab my iPad. You're gonna play whatever the hell you want. Then I don't care if it's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, you can listen. And then I'm gonna pull out my camera and you're going to give your impressions. And I'm gonna put that video on my channel.
Yeah. Same when you come up here, man. Yeah, because I think you'll be surprised.
No, I see. The thing is, here's why I wouldn't doubt you, and I'm going to tell you one reason why. If it was someone else, another person that just landed on what you have, right, and it was just a normal audio file, I would have my doubts. But the reason why I don't have any doubts towards your system is because you're not a new kid on the block here. You understand what I'm saying? You have arrived where you are through a lot of trial and error. And so you landed at a spot where you feel things are very locked in. This presentation is locked in. So it doesn't matter how much money you pumped into your system. That's not what I'm looking at. It's more like he grabbed all the pieces of the puzzle, connected those dots, and now the system is blooming. See what I'm saying? But only because it's you, because you have, again, the years, the understanding about the sound, and I can't say that about a lot of people.
Right, yeah. Well, it's my career.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So just your resume alone, I go in there already being a believer without hearing the radio. It's just a matter of whether it checks all my boxes or it doesn't, because the truth is no system in my opinion, checks everyone's boxes. Everyone has a different gear. Everyone has different attributes. Some may want more bass. Some may want a little less bass. I've had people in my room who are blown away by the huge soundstage of my speakers here, and others where they may have wanted bass woofers, some woofers in the corner, subwoofers, right? I personally try not to use subs. I like to use passive or just speakers that don't need an additional cabinet, external cabinet to give you the low end punch. To me, and I've seen your videos about crossovers and the active crossover and the passive crossover. To me, that's a little too much tweaking for me, for what I like to do. But I understand there is that audiophile that wants to go the extra mile to tune the last ounces in his system. I get it. I'm not that guy. I don't have the time oftentimes to do this.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. What time we got? How long we been yapping here?
Maybe they're like, 30 minutes maybe now.
Oh, okay.
We started about 7:10.
Okay.
So, but I definitely challenge you. I challenge your DAC, and I challenge you, if you want to bring a music server, I challenge them both. I want to put them in here. If you want and you can, bring a couple of Veristar cables. We'll put them in the system, and maybe we can compare them against that new Shunyata stuff that I bought and I displayed today on my channel. I got a full loom of the top of the line Shunyata cables that I bought. Yep. Maybe we can do your Veristar in here and do it before that. That's great content. I think that's what the masses want to see.
For sure. Yeah, man.
And look,
where my mouth is.
No, I know. Listen, that's one thing I know about you. Like, I totally understand. Like, you're gonna tell it like it is, and that's why when people see you and hear, they know that what's coming out of you, it's going to be the honest, and you're not going back once you say it. You can't just go back home and say, well, I did say that, but that's not what I meant. Like, I know what you say is what it is.
Yeah. I don't bullshit. I tell it straight. If it's ugly, if it's not,
right. So that's I think that's one of the main reasons why a lot of your followers, continue to tune in with you, because a lot of the other content material that we get is pretty much like a template, the same.
Yeah.
Over and over and over, and there's never a thrill, if that makes sense. And you do all kinds of things with your channel. I've seen that. I've seen the videos. Sometimes you're talking about cigars, tea, all kinds of things. So, you mix it up.
It's like, like you said, I'm having fun with this thing.
That's what I'm saying.
My career is
You're not following a template. You're going by your gut. You're going by the moment. And whatever energy you have, you want to share it at that moment with everybody and talk about it. That's really it. So you don't care if tomorrow you're talking about toilet paper. You're going to talk about toilet paper tomorrow. It's what it is. Right? So, and I think that's kind of cool that people can understand your thoughts about multiple things.
Yeah, and it's not so much that as much as it is, just giving it straight with hi-fi. I mean, obviously I'll point things out. I'll show the hustles because I'm from the inside. I sit like a fly on the wall and I listen and I hear what happens and I hear what the manufacturers say and when nobody's around, so I will give the straight dope, and I'll name a name if it's something that I think people need to know about. I don't need to hide anything. I'm not hiding anything. I also have no buddy putting any gear in my room, giving me anything. It's all, I own all of it. I purchase all of it. I'm a dealer. I sell it, and I put these rigs together because I figure why not leverage my skill at building rigs, leverage that, and do it for other people, and then with an eye towards value. I'm not just going to, because I know they can afford it, grab the most expensive shit. I just know by going to the shows, the most expensive rooms have never been the best sounding ever.
I would agree. I recently rated the Joseph audio room with the EMM Labs the best rig I heard in there, and that was not even close to the most expensive room.
Yep. Jeff Joseph's room is consistently a very good room. It was with Jeff Rowland last time I was at my last show. But M Labs, you said, right?
EMM Labs, yeah, the full EMM.
DAC manufacturer designed his DACs.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So my DAC manufacturer is going to keep the best shit for himself.
No, and I understand that. I totally understand that. And it's just, it goes to show you that what you mentioned earlier, which is 100% the truth. When someone's trying to build a system, in my opinion, it isn't just A plus B plus C equals whatever D. It's not like that. And talking to someone who's done it, who knows how to mix and match, who knows what goes with what, is something that oftentimes gets overlooked.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who have the means to buy whatever they want and they think they can do it all.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, and some people can through a lot of trial and error, but there are those that really don't have a clue.
Right. And see, I don't want to take advantage of that.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So
you're just basically saying, I'm going to put together a rig that's solid, that's not going to break your bank, that is definitely going to give you everything
that makes sense. You tell me the budget, and I'll give you the stuff that's the value at that price.
That you basically, they're not going to be chasing their tail afterwards. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's something that I feel very few people do. Very few brand names, very few stores do. That's the reality.
Yeah. Well, think about the store. Very few store owners are audiophiles as well. A lot of them, they're great business people. Audiophile doesn't necessarily make a good business person. I probably don't.
Yeah, there is definitely some of that. I know there are a lot of customers that have been vocal to me, actually, people that come to me saying such and such dealer was not very helpful. They wanted me to buy, else they wouldn't talk to me. It was like very difficult for them to even start a business conversation, because it's almost like either you buy or I don't want to talk to you. And I think a lot of customers are starting to realize, I need to find somebody else that can help me without making me feel like if I sit down in that chair, I got to walk out of there with something.
Yeah.
Or else I'm not worth it. And that's what happens.
Yeah. My clients end up becoming buddies. We get to know each other on a personal level. They can call me anytime, any day of the week, any time of the evening, whatever. I'm going to answer and not leave them hanging, because I'm like, I say it's like I'm your audio professional, like a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. I'm your audio pro consultant guy. So I handle your rig. I'm on it 24/7. If your rig is having problems, you call me up, just like you'd call a doctor. I got it covered for you. I'm not going to leave you out in the lurch. You can always send stuff back to me. There's always a return policy. There's never any strings attached, but don't fuck with me. You can do that.
And there are some people who do that. I know there are some buyers out there that love to pull tricks.
That's another video. The black.
We'll do another video. I actually have also, I'm doing the same thing with some of the variations, some of the different systems that I've had here. I've had actually a few people that wanted a specific system that I displayed at one point or another. And now I'm actually going to begin to fly out to Canada. Looks like I'm going to go to Puerto Rico as well. And these are people who find me on YouTube that they want me to come in and set up their systems. They want me. They don't want anybody else. They want me to go in there, I play with that gear, and either buy it from me or whatever, and fly in to set it up because they like what they heard on YouTube.
Same thing. I'm headed to Jamaica. I'm headed to Chicago.
Nice.
Same thing. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And I think
they need somebody they can trust,
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, they just feel like we like what you do. We've heard what you do. And why can't I just hire your expertise? Come and tell me what's wrong here. That's fine. You can go in there, compensation for your time, for your effort, fix it. Show me how to fix it. What's it going to cost? Tell me what I have done wrong. And you can do that easily. You can zoom in and know, wrong cable, wrong this, wrong DAC. You need more of this. Your room is bad. You got too many reflections. Use a sectional carpet, whatever it is. you begin to quickly identify, instead of thinking that buy another speaker, buy another amplifier, buy another preamplifier, buy another stand, right?
Exactly. What the deal is here. Yeah.
So yeah, and that's what I think the value that I like to add oftentimes to people, with a lot of people who approach me, is that. So, and I know you do the same thing. You've been doing it longer than I have. I know I've been doing it long, but it was very private, very behind closed doors. You've done it longer than I have, no question about it. And you go through a lot of hurdles too in terms of the price points, because you like to taste a little bit of everything, and then you realize, oh, this is the sweet spot. It wasn't the one here, it's the one down here. That's the sweet spot. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yes, you've talked about that, how the flagship is the flagship, but oftentimes the sweet spot is the model right under it.
Yeah, because the flagship many times is either a statement piece that's for the shows, just as a gaggle piece, so everybody's like, or it's because the customers keep pestering you for something, and you're like, R2R and like I2S, these are all things that I know DAC manufacturers that did not want to do it, and the customers kept asking for it, and they're like, fine, you want this, we'll make it, and we're going to charge 10 grand more. And the people go for it, and it's like, whatever, so this stuff is not really made. There's a difference between something that's made out of passion because you want to make it as a designer, and something that you make it because customers are nagging you, so you make it. The intention is in the design.
I'll give you a perfect example about that. Nordost Odin Gold. There is a new Nordost.
Yeah, because they know their shit's too harsh.
It's gold now, and the starting price point of one power cord is almost $40,000.
Yeah.
You know why they build it? Because the Asian market was asking for something more expensive than Odin 2. So Nordost looks at the opportunity. Dealers kept calling and telling them, hey, we want something more exclusive, because the Asian community is very, very exclusive with their audio. And Nordost said, you know what? We'll do it, because if they're asking us for that, we'll give it to them. It is what it is. And that's reality. Yeah.
Exactly. So they make something like that. Yeah. I've speaking of Odin 2, I've got a group in Norway, that audiophile group, that says my power cord is better than Odin 2.
Really?
Like they swear by it. They swear by it. They say your cords are better than Odin 2. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I know.
You gotta bring it, man. Yeah, I want to hear that.
Yeah, I will. I will, man.
Hear it. A Veristar.
Valhalla was my first target when I first started cables, because back then, 20 years ago, Valhalla was the thing that was so special. So I beat that one with my first foil cord, and now I guess, I haven't heard I don't know anybody else that has Odin 2 to play with it, but well, we saw I compared against Stage 3 Concepts, which is very expensive stuff too. Mine stuff is, if you like dark and murky, then dark is Stage 3. Nordost is hyper bright, so it's like they throw gold in it, not probably to tame it, or maybe it was just because people wanted something more expensive than 30 grand a half meter or whatever.
I feel like this. Companies would not be building it if somebody wasn't buying it.
Well, of course.
So there has to be somebody out there that wants it for them to build it.
Of course.
And if it doesn't fly, it doesn't get to the next level, they stop producing it. Simple as that. It doesn't succeed. But anyway, cool, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
talking to you, brother.
It's been a great conversation. So I hope to see you soon here, so we can do this for the masses.
Yep, man. I'll show up, check you out, but you have to promise me that you'll come up if I come down.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That needs to happen. I have to show up.
Okay, cool.
You're just in Georgia, so it's not that bad,
That's
so
good. Yeah,
okay.
I think we'll see. I got somebody halfway down I can stop in Destin, so I'll take 5 hours, stay in Destin for a day or two, and then come on down.
Sounds like a plan to me, man. I'll be here. My rig will be ready with everything tuned for you.
All right, brother.
All right, my man. Good talking to you.
All right, man. Likewise.
All right. Take care.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.